Good morning, good morning, good morning. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
My name is Paul B. He's Buddy to God. Welcome on this
Hey.
late 8 o'clock start on February 23rd, 2026, a Monday. I got the date right. I asked before the show, make sure I was on the right day. It is a Monday. It's going
Is
down.
it? We could both be wrong.
We can both, according to certain calendars, we are wrong. Yes.
I like what you did.
It's fired up. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Money. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Once again, a fresh edition of First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Happening right now on this Monday, the 21st, 3rd. What is it? 23rd.
Time. Got you in the chokehold, B.
Of February. All I know is it ain't the first yet. That's all I'm.
There you go. First to the month.
Yeah. But I will tell you what is first, besides First Sky. The number one, it's 1 degree outside right now. If you're in Omaha, Nebraska. 1 degree.
Brr. Yeah, it's like 20 something out here, man.
Well, that's gonna be our high, 20 something today. So, yeah. Rough. Once again, I appreciate you guys coming through. I got a lot of calls, a lot of hits this morning. Like, yeah, you're all right. The show happening. So I hope y'all saw the message again. We start late every other Monday for the Senators Cypher. Just trying to accommodate the senators and their schedule. They get up early in the morning, take kids to school, drive up to unicameral, so on and so forth. So shout out to Senator McKinney, Senator Ashley Spivey is going to join us today for the Senators Cypher.
Yeah, man.
Stay tuned for that. Yeah, special time today for that. So appreciate you guys getting up. I see Arrows 402 asking, is everyone okay? Yep. Pop says good Monday morning and mad love from Las Vegas. Appreciate you. Mark Manor gives us a good morning. Good morning to you. You got to tell us about your podcast, bro. What you got going on? Yeah.
Something about the 90s. Okay.
He said it's gonna be it's gonna be mine 60 this week. Oh, okay. You will survive. Okay, so we'll get up to 60. Okay, I like that. I will survive through to 60. I hope so. Heather Williams says, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, too. Appreciate you guys coming on. Again, this is a Senator Cypher Monday. That's why we're starting late. It'll go from 8 to 10 if you believe in the concept of time, that is, right here in Omaha, Nebraska, whatever it is here. And it's because it's another time where you at, buddy. How you feeling over there in the 18th?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Feeling great. How are you? Definitely, trying to stay warm. It is, like I mentioned, about 20 out here. But also thinking of, peoples, if you got peoples up in the Northeast, might want to check on them. I think New York and New Jersey got hit pretty hard with a blizzard over the weekend. Where it was, there was actually a curfew that put out around 9 p.m. last night for New Jersey area because it was that bad. So, yeah, man, definitely, check on your peoples. And also looking forward to today's conversation. Of course, the Senator Cypher, a lot of things to get into. So, yeah, feeling good. I think the late start kind of helped as well, a couple of extra winks. So, yeah, no complaints on this side. How about you, man? How you doing?
Yeah. I'm still struggling, man. Sleep is elusive sometimes for me. So, so still working on that. But I'm here. I'm good. I do like the extra hour. Last week talked about that, moving the time to 8 o'clock. It was the vote was 5 to 4 for 8 o'clock. So, yeah, should we do this all the time? Let us know. I see Kimber in the chat saying she was up. She was extra early today. That's what's up. RG is giving us a morning, y'all. What's happening? Mama God gives us a good morning. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody who put stuff in Friends of First Sky Omaha this round as well.
Man,
appreciate your articles, and that is really growing. There's always people that are putting stuff in. I got 3 or 4 folks that think it's the place to put their commercials and their business stuff without checking in with us on some advertising. And they're deep over there at Friends of all the time, so I got to kind of regulate. But mostly it's the trolls. It's so many people that are they see a headline, they come in, they got something negative to say, they want to come in there and fight and all that. It's a lot going on over there. Mediation on that page is getting pretty extensive. And speaking of that, there is a function on that page. Now that I'm thinking about it, there's a function on that page called Admin Assist. This is the message I got from Admin Assist yesterday. A new way to automatically approve participants' requests in Admin Assist. This feature will take effect in 6 days. Our system looks at the content of the post, the author, your past decisions about similar posts, and more. If you have an existing criteria, admin assistant will work with them to automatically approve certain posts. Admin assist will only make a decision if it's very confident. You can undo any decisions in the activity log. You can opt out of this feature at any time. I'm glad they let you opt out. But look at the pages they're looking at. This is one I'm associated with, Metropolitan Community College Cinema and Media Society, which I was in when I went to school there, and then Friends of First Sky Omaha. So I had a little twinge. I'm like, our systems look at the content of the post. Is that what your systems are doing?
Yep.
And making decisions. So that just means I got to be extra diligent now on making sure admin assist doesn't pull stuff that it thinks it needs to pull. It already drops stuff in spam and in folders that are acting as if there's some questionable material here, and it's a lot of our posts. It's speaking to us and our people, so I already have to fish that stuff out. So, like I said, man, we're going to come back around to this idea that we got to do something different with social media when it comes to our communication. If it ain't the algorithms, if it's not the company itself, it's the oligarchs that run them.
Yeah.
There's a lot that we got to discuss on this. So bear with us over there at Friends of First Sky Omaha, the group page. But I appreciate everybody who keeps on putting stuff in the group page as well. Buddy, is there any other social media channels that you frequent more than Instagram and Facebook these days?
No, actually, no. Still haven't really jumped on the TikTok wave. Try to get down with fan base. But yeah, really Instagram and Facebook, and really it's mostly just doom scrolling, to be honest. Like I've actually gone as far as taking off Instagram off of my screen, so I can't just subconsciously open it up and start doom scrolling. And so yeah, I'm actually trying to get out of that. But yeah, mostly Facebook and Instagram. Haven't really jumped on Truth or anything like that. Most of my communication is text message. Is direct, direct to whoever I'm trying to talk to. Yeah.
You and I are because we do the show, we're looking at news actively all the time. So we're always looking at different news sources. We're not like most folks that get their news from just scrolling. I mean, I get some news from scrolling for sure, but it always makes me wonder if you decided that you were going to go on a doom scroll diet, how would you get your news? The question is going to be constantly out there. We want to know. Definitely let us know what your routine and pattern is. No shame if we get our news from scrolling. That's what most people are getting these days. That's why it's out there. And I know a lot of people they're pretty stuck on TikTok and get their news there because a lot of the journalists moved to TikTok to do their stuff independently. So
I'll be honest, most of my news comes from YouTube. I have pages that I follow. Yeah, pages that I follow, journalists that I follow. I'm still heavy on Democracy Now! For all the OG minus soul fans. We still down with Democracy Now! Shout out to Amy Goodman.
Shout out to Amy
also,
Goodman.
Also Larry Daniel Favors, who's a civil rights lawyer out of New York. She has a podcast on Sirius XM that I listen to. Shout out to Mama God for putting me on to that. Deontay Kyle and the Grits and Eggs podcast, kind of Atlanta culture, but also some black cultural news and topics, things like that. Those are kind of platforms that I watch, and of course reading my own books, having my own thoughts, CBS News, NBC, CNN. Of course I'm always down a rabbit hole on my own. So yeah, that's kind of my diet.
Recently got reminded that writing up essays is what really helps you study the things that you're reading. So I'm back on that. Everything I read, I try to do an essay on it, and just kind of stay in my own thoughts. That's my pattern for the morning, is to think my own thoughts. That's my mantra every morning.
Big time.
So we're getting into it big time. And also you can tune in here, First Sky Omaha in the morning, for especially some of the top headlines in the news that's going on, especially in Omaha, Nebraska. Which is the center, but we already know now that even though we center out of Omaha, Nebraska, it's a microcosm of the rest of the country.
Man, big time.
We got a lot to talk about, a lot to say. I'm going to jump into a few of them. We appreciate everybody joining us this morning. Shout out to RG who put the health fair out here with us. I know this is in March 28th, but I want to keep talking about this to make sure that we all know that this is happening. The Saturday, March 28th at 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Free screenings, resources, and activities for all families, including stuff like plant-based food tasting, which I think is pretty interesting to put along with blood pressure, mental health, dental, cholesterol, diabetes.
Yeah, man.
they're not just screening and testing for you, but they're also giving you some solutions there too. So shout out to them for that. We'll talk more about it. Man, if you didn't go to Bad and Bougie last night, you missed this, or 2 nights ago, you missed the show big time, man. They got a lot of go to the Noma Facebook page and check out the photos and the pictures and the videos there. It was quite the show. Shout out to Noma for bringing these cats out from San Diego. I mean, from Kansas City. Really, really cool situation. Also, man, shout out to Brother Kasim for putting this day of Dawa on. That happened on the 21st as well, 2 days ago. Lots of good pictures and stuff from that, man. It was pretty interesting how many people showed up over at the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, and it looks like it was a good turnout, and it was awesome that they hosted this. I love the connection between BAA, Brother Kasim, and Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. It's a natural one. So shout out to them for doing that as well, man. One of the ones that's coming up is our Love for Latinas candidate fundraiser that's happening. The meet and greet fundraiser is coming up on Thursday the 26th. So shout out to Southside and stuff they're doing over there. You get to meet and greet and fundraise for the women who are running over there on the South Side. And we want to support them as well, too. So this is Thursday, February 26th at 5:30 to 7:30 at Clover 24. So definitely check that out. This is coming up very, very soon. And, of course, we're in the middle of Black History Month. And so there's a lot of programs coming up as well. The City of Omaha celebration is happening for Black History Month. This program honoring our culture and heritage, February 28th, 2026. Definitely check this out, the Frequency Forum at gmail.com. Contact to join. The number there is 402-265-0055. History program for adults and also for kids, $10, $5, as you can see on the flyer. Definitely check them out. Give them a call and get some more information on that one, because that's definitely going down too. And also, let's see, there was another Black History thing that I really wanted to big up as well. Oh, this one. I think this is going to be really interesting as well. Dinner and discussion, exploring the connection between Ethiopian and Afro-American heritage, Tuesday, February 24th. This is happening at Lalibela Restaurant. Get you some Ethiopian food going down on Tuesday on 6 p.m. Yeah, as you can see, there's a QR code. You can go ahead and hit that and register. Space is limited. This is a Shamari Huggins event right here. So shout out to Shamari for putting this down. 402-979-7117. Hit him up, register, and get down over there as well. It's going to be very interesting.
Rastafari.
Yeah, man, going down. Michaela Danner, who we know is running for Douglas County Attorney, which Don Klein is now, is coming up, and there's a Hungry Club over there at Big Mama's Kitchen. Shout out to Big Mama's for hosting the Hungry Club. Let me see, I thought there was a date on this. Maybe the headlines is covering up. Yep, Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. Put this on your calendar. Hungry Club is happening Wednesday, March 4th, 1:30 to 2:30. You get to meet Michaela Danner and ask some more questions about her in that role. We all are talking about the 6 to dismiss, which is the Douglas County Attorney Don Klein is one of those 6, and so we're not just saying he needs to go, but we want to say who's coming next. So yeah, definitely dig in. This is Women's History Month. Hungry Club happening in March. It's gonna kick off Women's History Month. Shout out to Big Mamas for putting this down as well. So those are some of the highlights, some of the things that are happening. We got more that I'll save for a little bit later in the show, and also during the week, a lot more coming up too as the weather gets better, supposedly going in the direction of better. There's going to be more activity, more things coming out, so we'll keep track on it. I appreciate that very much. Before I throw it over to Buddy, I see RG saying, where'd you start up there? He said, or shall I say, mess with Facebook as little as possible. I didn't get your first message, but you're talking about how much you engage with social media. I definitely want to hear that. Definitely want to hear about that for sure. Also, Sean McCarthy in the chat saying, morning, First Sky Nation. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Appreciate you, bro.
Peace.
Yep. RG says, speaking of Big Mamas, who said they were closing up, and when is that supposed to be?
I did hear about that.
A rumor, yeah, word on the street. We haven't got any confirmation on that, so it will definitely call and find out what's going on there. Yeah. But as you can see, they'll be open in March, so we'll see what's happening after that. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it over to Buddy. What's the thread for today? What's happening?
Yeah. Sean McCarthy asking about the weekend. Hopefully everyone had a good weekend, a warm weekend to that effect. But definitely want to talk about the political movement over the weekend. A lot of things going on. We just talked about Sister Michaela Danner running for Douglas County Attorney. Also, shout out to former Senator Justin Wayne, who announced over the weekend that he's running for Douglas County clerk. So, yeah, a lot of political movement. Again, we're still heavy on the six to dismiss. Excuse me, heavy on the six to dismiss situation. But of course, that's not the only political movement that went down over the weekend. Again, a lot of confusion, some strikes to Trump's tariff situation, and that is what I want to talk about today. Not just that, but the effects that has on our bottom line, and again, what can we do in this apparently crumbling form of capitalism? Starting with the TSA confusion. Of course, there's a lot of confusion going on with TSA and DHS making some changes and some movements during this government shutdown. Of course, we talked about the government shutdown, at least the partial shutdown surrounding funding of Department of Homeland Security. And of course, TSA, a part of that department being impacted, some movement over the weekend, some confusion more so. So we'll talk about that, hopefully clear that up for those of you trying to travel here soon. Also, one of the big rulings over the weekend, of course, the Supreme Court striking down Trump's tariff plan. Shout out to Nebraska Examiner for this write-up. They have actually Nebraska's all GOP federal delegation talking about their reaction to this move. And also, shout out to Senator Wayne, former Senator Wayne, for putting out this call, responding to the impact, just the real bottom line that we've been talking about of Trump's tariffs on Nebraska and all of us. Of course, a lot of you who own your homes have talked about how property taxes have gone up. We've been talking to the senators about the deficit in the budget of the state of Nebraska and what real property tax relief, one, what it looks like, and two, where it may come from. It seems like Senator Wayne or former Senator Wayne might have some ideas on where that could come from. So we'll definitely talk about that. And also, as I like to call him, Trump Jr. getting his reward for being Trump Jr., being appointed to the President's Council of Governors, which is quite interesting. If you remember, there was recently a governor's meeting at the White House in which the only black governor was not invited. So, you can kind of take from that what you will. But we'll definitely be talking about that and more as far as what the bottom line of the state, talking about economics and what we can do about it here in the state. Looks by all means like it's crumbling. Of course, the business community responding to Governor Pillen's move around China, kind of impacting them negatively. Of course, the Lexington situation, the real beef industry in Nebraska, kind of a canary in the coal mine, if you will, about economics. And again, we're going to talk about all that and more in the second hour, looking at a few books, Escape from Capitalism, There's No Place for Us. Yeah, man, we got to talk about it. So all that and more coming up. Of course, it is Monday, Senator Cypher's Monday. So looking forward to speaking to our senators. But in the meantime, between time, Paul B. We're a little over. How we doing?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, doing pretty good. Appreciate everybody joining us in the chat. We'll definitely jump back into the chat, jump back into some community updates and the news and stories shortly. We'll take a quick break and come back and jump into it. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning. Hey.
My name is Paul B. He's Buddy to God. Stay tuned, y'all.
Metal G checking in. Good morning.
That we do not intend to play the role that the Jews play.
Welcome back. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddy to God, all of you Chad Chalmers Ghost listeners ready for the day. It is Monday, kind of the day that we like to set intention for the week as well, kind of look and see what's going on. And if there's anything coming up this week that you think is important that everyone should be checking out, paying attention to, giving some attention to, what's the news on that? Let us know. Hit us up in the chat. You can also hit us up on Friends of First Sky Omaha, the group page on Facebook. definitely check it, drop it there so we can all have that information. We appreciate it. You see Melo G in the chat. RIP to El Mencho. We got to mention the chaos that's erupting right now in Mexico as well. Got to acknowledge that that's happening. They've killed what they call one of the cartel leaders, and they're reacting, and they feel like some of it was U.S. backed attacks, and so they're attacking. And there is a thing out there saying if you're from the U.S., don't travel to Mexico right now, because they're afraid of retaliation. So,
I mean, this is. I mean, it's connected to, of course, the bombings in the Caribbean Sea, Trump's declaration of war against what he's calling narco terrorism. So there's some follow the money to that as well. I mean, it's really all connected, of course, to the oil situation, pointing to the fact that America is going broke, and they're trying everything that they can to strong-arm their way to some money.
We'll be talking about it.
Yes.
Appreciate you. RG said earlier, he said that first one was supposed to say, since I try to mess with Facebook as little as possible, getting my news from y'all right here on YouTube would be it. Okay, appreciate that. Yeah, we still have that question out there. Where do you get your news? What social media platforms do you engage with? It'll be a ever moving situation here, and we want to keep up on it. So let us know. Appreciate that very much. Anthony Rogers Wright said, we'll post in Friends of soon, but there will be a larger community discussion on the state of OPPD and if it's time to institute the recall process for certain board members.
Okay.
Put it out there. There you go.
Hey, apply some pressure.
Melo G. Yep. Middle of the mat TV in the building. That's what's up.
Hey.
Shout out to you part of the news gang too, bro.
Yeah, man.
In the media landscape out here in Nebraska. Appreciate you and the work that you're doing as well. We're going to jump into the story, buddy. What's first on the agenda?
Yeah, man, starting with the confusion over the weekend surrounding TSA, just to clear that up and really set up the stage for how just this whole budget partial government shutdown, Trump's economic plan is not helping. It seems like by all means, things are going bad. But let's dive into the particulars. This out of CNN. For those of you who may have heard, again, there was a call for TSA pre-check to be suspended, and also this idea of global entry, this global entry program. Again, it was a statement from DHS early over the weekend saying that global entry program will be shut down by 6 a.m. However, according to the article of Sunday morning, just yesterday morning, travelers were still able to pass through lines servicing TSA pre-check at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport and Dulles International Airport near Washington, D.C. CNN has reached out to Customs and Border Protection about the status of global entry. Both programs are funded by fees charged by members. DHS Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, said in a statement that CNN that TSA and CBP are focusing on the general traveling public at our airports and ports of entry. Of course, alluding to the partial shutdown surrounding this whole budget. Saying shutdowns have serious real-world consequences, not just for the men and women of DHS and their families, i.e. the TSA agents who aren't getting paid, who go without a paycheck, but it endangers our national security as well. Again, U.S. Travel Association President Jeff Freeman also said after the reversal, his organization was glad that DHS has decided to keep pre-check operational and avoid a crisis of its own making. So again, this is just a glimpse of not really too much of the meat and potatoes of today's article, but I know there's a lot of confusion over the weekend around what is going on. People trying to travel. There's whispers of possibly needing a passport in order to travel. But again, this is just, for me, a canary in the coal mine of what is going on economically and really the impact of Trump's economic plan. Of course, the big news over the weekend is the tariff ruling, which, of course, Nebraska's all-Republican congressional delegation is split on, as the Supreme Court ruled over the weekend that Trump's tariffs on many imported items were illegal. On Friday, the Supreme Court dealt a major blow in a 6-3 decision authored by Chief Justice John Roberts. The court said Congress holds the power to tax, and Trump's trade agenda, ruling that tariffs he had issued, under the International Economic Emergency Powers Act are, again, illegal. The Constitution's check and balances still work, according to Republican Don Bacon, who says Article 1 gives tariff authority to Congress This was a common sense and straightforward ruling by the Supreme Court, which is interesting. Bacon has been kind of defecting from the Trump bandwagon as of recently, if you will. It's kind of interesting
on paper.
That part. But again, according to the Supreme Court ruling, while the Supreme Court ruled against Trump on Friday, many imports are still subject to steep tariffs. Excuse me. Steep tariffs as a part of the president's international trade war. That's according to the New York Times analysis. In a Friday press conference, Trump called the ruling a terrible decision. The president said he would impose a global 10% tariffs under the provision of the Trade Act of 1974, which allows the president to unilaterally apply tariffs for up to 150 days. But of course, on the back end of this, if this goes through and is pushed, to the furthest extent, again, if these are illegal as far as the tariffs, there is a possibility that has to be paid back, which again is the status or kind of the concept behind Senator Wayne's petition. But before we dive into that, what say you about all of this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let us know. I think that this is interesting that this is happening. The Supreme Court, the ruling the way they did, made it so. Of course, they made him mad. So the first thing he did is say he's going to put this new tariff on, even though they're going to take back the old tariffs. They're going to put this new tariff on everybody now because how mad he is, and because he's president, he can do that, and it can last for something like 6 weeks. Or a period of time before they come back in and have to take it down again. So it just really interesting to me how he's always playing the margins that way. He's always, what's the loophole here? I can impose another one, even though you just called what I did illegal. I can impose another one, and it'll last for the 6 months or however long it's going to last before you can call it illegal again, and it's going to be bad for everyone. That type of situation. I think is really something else. But yeah, what's really interesting to me too is if now that this decision has been deemed illegal, if I'm a company and I'm paying tariffs and I'm paying extra money on stuff, which actually I am. I'm a company, and I just had to buy some equipment, and the equipment that I bought was 3 times as much as it would have normally been because of the tariffs and because of some other spots. The RAM in computers, the video card in computers, right? So So anyway, if it was illegal for them tariffs to be on that, I kind of want the difference. Give me my money back.
Give me my money.
Give me my money back, bro. I just if I bought some RAM and the RAM cost me $1,000. And it would have cost me $300 if the tariffs wasn't on it. Where my $700 at? I'm just saying. So the consensus is from a lot of politicians that are speaking on this right now that these there's not a lot of countries that's going to come back and be like, hey, where's the difference then? Since this was illegal, they don't want to make him mad because they have no clue what he's going to do next. But at the same time, I mean, there's precedent here for if it's an illegal move and collected all this loot, you might have to give it back. So let us know what you think about this as well. Mama Guy in the chat says, so they've stopped pre-check for all airports, then put it back on for all airports. They did like we're this story about the airports is an ongoing thing because it's moving, every day there's some new news about what's happening there. We'll have to try to do our best to keep you updated on that. But yeah, right now, they took that pre-check, they put the pre-check back. But now there's now because this is all has to do with the partial shutdown as well. So it's not just an immigration move where we're going to hold up everybody at the airport for everybody to get checked. It's also how many people at the airport can be working right now during this partial shutdown and so on. So it's complicated. We'll get into it. But getting back to this situation, I'm quite sure that there's going to be a lot of backlash on that. When this ruling happened, there's going to be people that will be like me. Where's the rest of my money at then? It's got to come back.
For me, the TSA, of it all and the tariffs of it all, the point in this season following the money is the idea was that Trump was elected because he was supposed to be this brilliant businessman. And we all know that this country is a corporation. So, let's get a brilliant businessman to run the corporation and we'll achieve prosperity financially. And the reality is Trump is a horrible businessman that has gone bankrupt many times, many times, and now we're seeing the country go bankrupt as a part of his.
I'm gonna push
plan.
back on that. I'm gonna push back on that a little bit.
Okay.
We can get into it in the second hour, but I actually feel like because capitalism is capitalism, Trump is a businessman that's doing the kind of business that businessmen do.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and him and his family have made millions since he's been president. We can get
And
into it
okay, and I appreciate I hold that thought, and I appreciate that thought because to that effect, I appreciate that because it's not everybody being impacted by this; it's us being impacted. So thank you for the correction, and it is interesting to that point when you see not just Trump but Nebraska GOP also supporting this whole ideology after we've seen the impact not just nationally but even locally, talking about the beef impact. So let's dive into it and work our way actually to the whole property relief of it all, property tax relief of it all as well. But again, to the point of GOP members of Nebraska's delegation supporting this madness that obviously isn't helping at least us. Republican Mike Flood said that Americans must respect the rule of law, talking about the unconstitutionality of Trump's tariffs. But he said he is confident that Congress and Trump can continue the forward progress, saying, I would hate for us to take a step backwards. We've already opened up access to Nebraska beef in places like Great Britain. This underscores Congress's role in setting tariffs, and it's incumbent upon us to make sure we make forward progress on our trading relationships. Again, doubling down on Trump's trade plan. But what is the real impact, again, that Flood brought up Nebraska beef? We already know. Again, a monthly Mid-American Economy report from Creighton University showed that Nebraska's manufacturing exports declined 12.6% in the first 9 months of 2025 compared to that same period in 2024. And that's just the numbers. We already know. We can talk about the Tyson plant closing. We can also talk about the letters from Nebraska and really national farmers about the impact that Trump's tariffs and the whole Argentina beef situation is having on our bottom line. So again, I appreciate your point of the elected officials. Maybe Mike Flood has some skin in the game financially to be doubling down on this trade situation and follow the money on that. But the reality is us, the working class people, are suffering as a part of this. And for the rest of the show, we're going to talk about what we can do.
And before we get to that, we're going to take a quick break. We appreciate everybody who's joining us and joining in the conversation with your comments. You're right. RG, Trump as president is basically like Gordon Gekko from the movie Wall Street getting elected. Greed is good. Greed is good. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All be buddy to God.
Black. One move, we move. Just like that. Just like that. One move, we move. Just like that.
Welcome back for Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All be buddy to God. I think we are a little bit more awake with this later start in the day. I can kind of feel it.
You feel it? Can you feel it?
I put you put a little something on that in the morning this morning. I'm like, man.
Okay. A little gusto, as RG like to say.
Yeah. More intensity in the sound booth.
Okay.
Appreciate you guys coming through. Marlon Harrison says if Nebraska farmers and ranchers are truly mad, they need to stop voting these people in because obviously these GOPs don't care. Well, you got a point there, Brother Marlon. We appreciate you. Also, I forgot to shout you out, bro. Shout out to Brother Marlon Harrison, part of the News Gang fam. He keeps on putting news, Black History news in Friends of First Sky Omaha. Definitely check out his posts I love learning more stuff about Black history and being reminded about stuff that I know too. And it is Black History Month, so we appreciate you doing that, and everybody else who has put things in as well. So shout out. Yeah, he did put some. I told you, RG, he put some stank on that hook this time too. In the morning, put some Luther on it. He put some
Hey,
Luther
little stank on you. Little stank on you.
a little stank on you. I love it. I love it. That's what's up. Speaking of places where funky things happen, shout out to Kethro, who just opened up his Japanese sound bar called
Man.
Odo. It's called Odo Hi-Fi Lounge.
Man.
Odo Japanese Hi-Fi Lounge. Yeah, dope. The openings was this weekend. Tons of people came out. Places fly. The sound system is incredible. And I don't have a picture of the back wall, but there are thousands of vinyl records on that back wall. That is a collection between him and DJ Word. All their collection is on that back wall. And I'm trying to tell you, these DJs are pulling records down and putting records on record players, and that's how the night goes.
Hey, yo, you gonna get me on the tangent, man. You're gonna get me on the tangent because there's a wave DJ. There's a DJ wave going on. Big X is doing my mentor, one of my mentors, DJ mentors, here in Atlanta is doing the same thing as far as bringing back DJ, like real DJ and turntablism. It's a wave. It's a wave.
Ain't nothing new under the sun. I still got my record bags from the days of hauling around vinyl.
Yeah.
To DJ, it's going down, and it's it's going down. So shout out to Kethro, shout out to all everything that's happening there. Also, man, I gotta give a shout out to what's happening here in California, man. In California, Blue Note Festival is gonna be at the Hollywood Bowl this summer. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there. I got to make this the new tradition. This is a mix of the old tradition in my family and a new one that me and you started. But Blue Note is going down at the Hollywood Bowl of all places this summer, and I can't tell you how happy I am about it. It's going down.
Man,
so,
man.
yeah, we'll talk more about that as we come up too. Also, what's happening this week? Shout out to Leia Keisters who puts this in Friends of First Sky Omaha, Swing Left, Nebraska. Of course, they have their podcast. This is week 8. They drop their podcast on Mondays. So if you want to check this out, go to wherever you get your podcast and check it out. Shout out to Swing Left, Nebraska's podcast. They get down as well. Really appreciate that. And while I'm at it, this Black History Month Community Power Series is coming up. And as you can see, there's going to be some heavy hitters here. Shout out to Senator Victor Roundtree, especially, who's been in the fight big time right now with some things that are going down. They wanted us to make sure that we let people know the Sarpy County Democrats, is hosted by Nebraska Democratic Party Black Caucus, is going down for this Black History Month Community Power Series. So shout out to them for that. Carpenters Union, 10761 Virginia Plaza in La Vista. It's happening Wednesday the 25th from 6 to 8. Check it out. It's in Friends of First Sky Omaha. Appreciate you reminding us about these things as well. With that, let's go ahead and jump back into it, buddy. Where you at?
Actually, before we do that, while we're giving shout outs, I do want to recognize Brother Anthony Rogers Wright in the chat. Shout out here. You got a little one on the way. Yeah. Been meaning to shout that out, man. Congratulations.
There you go. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So a part of the First Sky fam, man. So yeah.
That's what's up.
Shout out.
I'm seeing some. Missed a couple of posts of his. He said, "It reminds me of an old adage: if you're a mechanic who's bankrupt, you're a deadbeat who deserves to lose their house. If you're a billionaire who's bankrupt, you get a bailout."
Pretty much. And man, on that point, I'm glad you brought out that comment, because that leads right into this petition from former Senator Wayne, again talking about the tariff situation and what that means for working class families. And you laying it out, you pointed it out, Paul, as far as the system of capitalism relies on a class that does not have, like, you have to have that, and we'll be talking about that a little later on. But of course, this tariffs is a big part of that, as far as Nebraska families, working class families, struggling as a result of these tariffs. And again, Senator Wayne has an idea on how to kind of reverse the curse, if you will. This is something that he's putting out on change.org. So it is a petition that you can currently go and sign, get behind, and support. But the petition is a call for the U.S. Supreme Court and President Trump to basically send money back to Nebraska. Specifically, the petition calls on Governor Pillen and the Nebraska legislature to demand Nebraska be reimbursed for the cost of those unlawful tariffs and dedicate any recovered funds to property tax relief for homeowners, farmers, and small businesses, i.e. the little guy. So again, I mentioned it on the show, the feeling, and by all means, it's walking like a grift. It's talking like a grift. It's looking like a grift as far as what's happening from our elected officials and our tax dollars. Not to mention the $10 billion that was just sent to Trump's Board of Peace. We're not even gonna get into that, but yeah. Again, thoughts on this? Let's just stop with that. As far as Senators Wayne petition, also I will add in Pillin just got elected, or I guess appointed to Trump's board of governors, so he's getting his rewards for being Trump Jr., for being on the Trump bandwagon. Do you think Pillin will, answer the call from Wayne to lean on the Trump administration to ask for that money back?
I don't, but I think that Wayne is in a great direction. He's going in the right direction. He's right on time, because this is exactly the question that's happening nationally right now. If the tariffs are illegal, somebody gonna want their money back. And the way that Senator Wayne is approaching this right now, really focusing in on especially rural and agricultural ways that we got hit with the tariffs. He's approaching this the right way. He's right on time with it. I feel like if he's going to get any traction and attention at all, it's going to be because of that. Because now those guys got to say, well, no, we're not going to do that. Now they're again hurting people out in rural communities and stuff like that, and the farmers, because if you're not going to try to reimburse it, and not only that, but there's a solution that he's entering in here too, with the fact that we have such high property taxes. The state is underwater, so on and so forth. This is where you can get your money. So it's a twofold thing. At the same time, you can stop taking programs and processes and stuff away from poor and working class people, and get it from somewhere else. Get the money from somewhere else. How about this? How about that? How about getting some money from this recall here? So he got some strategy in there. It's well thought out. It's right on time. Here's the petition. If you want to take a look at it and sign it, I went ahead and put the link in the chat. Definitely check it out. And yeah, that's my thoughts on the matter so far.
Man, the chat's going off as well. Appreciate y'all commenting. Michael Watts, good morning to you. And the chat says research shows social has impact on false perception of human well-being. I think it's talking about social media, which leads to justification that people not impacted by economic changes, which I can appreciate that. You see enough influencers flashing those rented Lamborghinis and all these get rich quick gurus on social media, you might not realize how bad the economy really is.
Could be. Earlier in the chat, Michael Watts says fighting tariffs by mainly buying essentials, consumer control plays a big role. He says news reports show that tariffs and other unneeded expenses are not necessarily impacting people's spending habits. Non-essential spending habits still at highest levels. Very true. So yeah, there's a lot to consider there, and some solutions there as well. I appreciate you, Michael Watts, coming into the chat and talking about some of these things as well. So yeah, appreciate that. He says get yourself a plug on local food producers.
Man,
Sure.
I'm with that. I'm with that.
Linda Latham in the chat, shout out, giving us a good morning. Good morning to you. Nice to see you. Peace. This is definitely something that I can see us digging into a little bit more. I'll reach out to Senator Wayne, former Senator Wayne, see if we can have him on the chat, in the show, and talk about it a little bit more extensively than I can. But it's pretty self-explanatory, this petition that he laid out here. So definitely hit that link, check it out, and go ahead and sign it if you want to get behind this as well. But again, I think about some of the politicians that are speaking on the national side of this right now, who are very much like, yeah, I mean, certain countries and stuff like that could very well, sue now and be like, well, where's, we paid a lot in tariffs, give us that money back. But who's really going to do that and kind of, evoke the ire of the Trump administration in doing so? They might just let it go, and just hope that Supreme Court will make it stop, and that's all I can really hope for, is making it stop. But it's not how it's going to work in this country. I don't believe. I think there's going to be a lot of people stand up like, "Where's my money, man?"
I mean, and that's, how do you think a wage gap expands the way it's expanding? How does the rich get richer and the poor get poorer if the rich aren't stealing from the poor? Like, how does that happen? A couple of comments and then I'll move on. And I think our where are we on our guests? I'm just kind of
the second hour.
Okay. So I appreciate Brother Anthony Rogers right in the chat talking about the petition. Saying this is a perfunctory tactic. There will be no refunds for years. The lawsuits will take months and months and months. Any lawyer knows this, saying that it's not just as easy as, asking for the money back. But
Sure.
I have to say, when Senator Wayne is right, he's right. I have to agree with, his sentiment.
Most definitely.
Also, Mark Manner feels like there's no chance for Pillin to call on Trump to bring back the money. He says Pillin will do a couple of shots and laugh at it and move on to insulting his constituents, which I have to agree. Again, by all means, I'm not just calling Pillin Trump Jr. just to be funny. I'm calling Pillin Trump Jr. because just about every move that is happening on the state level is echoing what Trump is doing. Point in case, of course, the Tyson situation as far as the beef. But before we get into that, Pillin's stance on China, which of course is falling right in line with Trump and what's going on. But we talked about this briefly, but again, the Nebraska business community was responding negatively, feeling like this would negatively impact their bottom line to a proposal. A proposal from Pillin to basically block any company that has connections or subsidiaries in China, which there are 3 large companies in Nebraska that does that. Since then, Flatwater Free Press is reporting that the state has actually reversed that, kind of similar to we've seen with the reversal of DHS and the TSA situation. The state pauses effort to penalize Nebraska companies doing business in China. Again, shout out to Flatwater Free Press for reporting on this. Again, the move came in the wake of the reporting by Flatwater Free Press, so shout out to them for moving the needle a little bit, that revealed the widespread impact of the governor's proposed incentives ban, with the potential harm giant homegrown companies like Valmont, Lindsay, and Warner. Again, the new law had raised alarm within the state's business community as it undercuts the tax incentives programs that have been linchpin for Nebraska business recruitment efforts for decades. And not to mention the tax incentives program itself is under audit for $1.2 billion in lost revenue, according to the state auditor. But that's a whole nother conversation. And one of the provisions of Pillin's new anti-China law sought to bar state tax incentives to Chinese businesses, but the law's expansive definition, again, the wording of it, specifically the definition of a foreign adversarial company, actually included companies with a subsidiary in China, which are 3 Nebraska-based companies. So again, I say all that to say that the Trump Jr.ism of it all is not just impacting negatively farmers, not just impacting us in our property tax negatively, but of course now the business community being impacted, the multinational business community. Again, these are all businesses with subsidiaries in different countries being impacted. So further proving or pushing towards the point that who is this economic plan helping? And I'm not surprised that Pillin is kind of doubling down and, as Mark Manner says, going to laugh at it because Pillin is a billionaire. Ricketts is a billionaire. Billionaires running this country. What does that mean? What does that look like? Point in case. What say you?
Yeah. Anthony Rogers Wright has a point in here about the tariffs. Even with that ruling, he came back and was like, I'm going to impose 10% all across the board. He actually said 15%, and the document reads 10. But the whole point is him playing the margins there. Like that part. Your retaliation is going to be you're going to do it again, and of course the law says that it's going to be a period of time and so on. But he's saying, first of all, not too many nations are going to do it. They're not going to be like, "Where's my money?" He can still impose tariffs without the Congress. Sections 122 and 301, if the 1974 Trade Act are still in effect in Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act. This is what Trump is talking about doing: is reaching into different areas where he does have authority to put different tariffs on, and that's what he's going to spend his time doing now since he got ruled against. Also, Anthony Rogers Wright says he can still impose tariffs without Congress. Same thing I just said there. He says, when are we going to discuss Pillin's trade deals with the genocidal Zionist ethno-state? Would be good to hear if the senators have some thoughts on this, as Palestine remains salient election issues. Remains a salient election issue. Yeah. Good question. And I know we know that's tied together as well. But it might be a question that we can ask the senators when they come on. Just to remind you, this is a special senators Cypher. day today. We're going to be speaking to Senator Terrell McKinney, Senator Ashley Spivey. If you're just joining us, this is coming up shortly, so stay tuned. Do us a favor and share the show on your page as well on Facebook. You can share it on your page, and also on YouTube. You can share the link for anybody to come in and be able to have some conversation here with us on these subjects. But yeah, get your questions ready for the senators. Definitely have some of these follow the money questions. How's this going to affect some things? People are asking for the appealing to make those changes, but they're also asking for the legislature to change up some laws on some things. And Brother Anthony Rogers' right comments is reminding me about like the processes, even what Senator Wayne is doing. It has to be done. It's right on time. What we're asking for, what the reality of whether or not it's going to happen or the timeliness of how it's going to happen is a whole different story all the time. And when you really want to get down and make something happen, and you always got to deal within those kinds of time frames, it gets frustrating. What else can happen? What else can you do in the meantime? So, yeah, these are some questions there. Donnell Sessions gives us a good morning. Appreciate you coming in. Good morning. So, and in the meantime, stuff is still going on, like these deals with, with Israel and the whole Palestinian situation. So these are things that are happening in real time, as opposed to some of these solutions that people are looking for that is going to, if it happens at all, happens over time, gets real frustrating, because you come back to that question: what are we doing now? What can be done this minute?
As they say, the wheels of democracy turn slow. But again, Trump is kind of circumventing the wheels of democracy to unilaterally do whatever it is that he wants to do. And yeah, we got to figure out what we can do as a people, because point in case, the little guy is. I'll just say this: the Lexington situation is a microcosm of what we all can find ourselves in, as far as, again, this plant closing. Thousands and thousands of people trying to find what to do. Again, shout out to Flatwater Free Press for reporting on this earlier this month, of course, talking about the Tyson food plant closing in Lexington, Nebraska, which, of course, you have to know is tied to what's going on with the tariff situation, the beef, how this country is handling its beef imports and exports. Actually, I had to, just verify why. And again, Tyson Foods says that they closed their Nebraska beef plant to quote unquote right size operations due to a historically small U.S. cattle herd, high operating costs, and significant financial losses in its beef business. So again, the bottom line is impacting mostly the small guy. Again, about 3,200 jobs were yanked as a part of this shutdown from the community of only about 10,000. So a third of the community lost their jobs as a part of the situation. Again, regardless of delays, one of the workers was grateful that people were coming together to get help. Again, after Tyson shutdown announcement, individuals and organizations rallied to raise about $300,000. But within 2 weeks of starting to hand out aid, Lexington nonprofits were overwhelmed by the sheer volume of need. Again, going back to your point, Paul, of what can people do now? Because, again, as people are trying to build, as people are trying to eat, we have to figure out what we can do now. Again, organizing efforts we've been talking about. We've been talking about the 6 to dismiss, getting people in positions. All of those things take time, to Brother Anthony Rogers' right point. So, yeah, I think in the second hour, I do want to dive more into some of those ideas. There's a couple of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not process, models. There's a couple of models that I want to dive into in the second hour, but
sounds good. Yeah, we definitely would do that. We'll treat the second hour there, and also on the second hour, we'll be speaking to the senators. They're coming in shortly as well, so stay tuned for that. We'll have some questions prepared and get them going on finding out what's happening. I'm hoping that the tech is a little bit better there in the the camera. I sent a couple of notes. I hope they got them. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get them in. But yeah, it's something that we can jump into. We kind of plan the day out a little bit to talk about some of the things that are in the news here and get some feedback from you guys about it. But then in the second hour, really kind of lean more into some solutions, because this, as we stated last time, the progression of this show is leaning into this piece where what's going on and how we feel about it is getting a little bit less. I wouldn't say less important, but it can get consolidated better and earlier so that we can finally get to that discussion about what can we do, what can be done. We're here to learn that. We want to hear from you about what it is that you are considering, or what it is you're doing, or what you've seen other people do in other places, other models like Buddy's talking about, for us to be able to figure something out. So we'll definitely dive into that in the second hour as well. Also, Michael Watson in the chat is saying a good number of those who are running to replace the 6 do not have or have not given us any insight on their plan to correct these things. Get those questions ready, because we are making plans here to interview everybody who's going to be replaced, who wants to replace the people that are in the seats currently. It's not just about the 6 to dismiss; it's the 6 to bring on who's coming in. And shout out to Precious McKesson and the work that we're trying to do with several other groups as well, to try to bring those people on and find out what's going on. So when we do, there'll be some questions that you can ask as well, to give us an idea of how they plan on attacking these things when they come on. But again, political power is one lane of 7 lanes of change, which is something that we kind of came up with, and we're going with as far as what we see needs to happen in order to make some change happen. It's just one aspect of it. Our coalition building in our community is another aspect. There's things that we have to figure out how to do for ourselves at the same time, while we're trying to replace people in seats, at the same time while we're trying to do something about gaining some financial literacy and power as well, in order to move the needle. And the strategic communication that you can see Flatwater Free Press is engaging in right now, in order to bring some light to things, but not just light, not just uncovering things, but moving the needle as well with the things that they're uncovering. That's strategic communication, which is a very important lane as well, to bring these things to our attention. So this is the direction that we're going in on that, and we have to try to figure that part out. Which lane should get some attention right now? Which lane should we really back and push in order to move the needle? And what is the needle that needs to be moved? These are all questions that we can kind of get into coming up as well. So, of course, we're talking about our community. We're talking about working class people. We're talking about poor people. We're talking about the people that are mostly affected by the moves that are being made. And since there's more of us in that group than there are of them, how can things be pushed in order to favor the people, which is what this whole thing is supposed to be about? The people's choice.
I mean, what else is the point of society? Like, what is the point of what we're doing? What are we doing? What is the point?
Right. Anthony Rogers Wright is emphatic on his point about Democrats, saying Brother Watts is correct. Not being a Republican is not going to be enough in 2026. Not being a Republican and moving the needle completely in a different direction. I really am inspired by the way the young folks are moving more independent than both sides of the political spectrum as well. But that's a conversation for another time, maybe. But yeah, I really believe that there's going to be more that's needed, not just getting people out of seats, not just putting people in seats, but even with that happening, there still needs to be more that we have to do in order to move the needle on all of it. So we'll come back in the second hour, kind of discuss what that is, jump into it. As a matter of fact, we'll take a quick break. We're coming up on the 9 o'clock hour here, if you believe in the concept of time in Omaha, Nebraska, a special new time for this show every other Monday to accommodate for the senators who are taking babies to school and driving up to the unicameral and doing all the stuff. And so we'll be talking to them shortly, and then we can kind of dive back into some of the things that we were talking about here and get to some solutions in the second hour. That's where we're going. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
I'm Paul B. He's Buddy the God. Stay tuned, y'all. Welcome back. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All B, buddy to God. It is 9 o'clock right now. If you believe in the concept of time, second hour for First Sky Omaha in the morning. And guess what? It's 7 degrees in Omaha.
Brr.
Went up from 1 degree to 7 degrees.
Okay.
So I guess it's warming up.
That's what you want to call it?
Yeah. Keep your faucets dripping and the heat on still.
Man,
it's still going down.
freezing.
Yeah, it's going to be cold. It's going to be continue to be cold. And for it to be 70 degrees 2-3 days ago down to 1 is kind of real craziness.
Global warming, man. They try to act like it ain't real. Look outside.
Step Up program is happening now. Get your kids in Step Up. The applications are going until March 2nd. Shout out to Empowerment Network for the Step Up program. Personally seen myself 600 kids sitting in the class getting ready to get themselves together to try to earn some loot and going in a direction in their careers. Ages 14 to 15 earn up to $200 a week. Ages 16 plus at work sites earn $15 an hour. Applications are open now till March 2nd. You can go to stepupomaha.com to get the details on this 9-week program, but highly suggest you do that. I would like to see something that really talked about how many kids have benefited from the Step Up program, how many jobs and careers started going into the direction that they went into because of this program. So, we always are talking about things for the kids to do, especially during summertime and stuff like that when they have some time on their hands. Get them in some situations here where they can start working on themselves in that direction. So shout out to them for that. Also, shout out to OEAs for doing the culture talk. Not the OEAs, the OPS, Omaha Performing Arts, OPA. There's a lot of letters going around here. Omaha Performing Arts, excuse me. Culture Talk, Graffiti Legends is coming through with Lady Pink and Justin Bua. And of course, they're going to be talking to Houston Alexander, Hugo Zamorano. It's the new hip hop lab. They've been doing this for a couple of years now. It's happening on February 26th at the Holland Center. From streets to stories, here Graffiti Legends unpack culture, history, and impact on February 26th. Get your tickets for that now. I think it's going to be a very awesome event as well. Bud Crawford's in the news. He was driving and he got pulled over and all this stuff a couple of days before his other incident. Yeah, man. This is all over the place. Okay, it's news, but so is this. So is young Crawford. So is young Crawford. Why isn't this on the front story of Channel 7? Okay. Tell him about this, buddy. Tell him about this young brother.
Man, shout out to the young Crawford, Terrence Crawford Jr., representing my alma mater very proudly. Recently won state championship in wrestling.
Boom.
Go Vikings, man. V's up, man. He got that good stock, good genes. Apple falling not too far from the tree. Yeah, man. I'm not sure. I have to ask the senator when he comes on. I believe Senator McKinney was a part of this coaching training situation as well. So yeah,
man. Yeah. Wrestling's still huge in the state in a big way.
Oh yeah.
And it's good to see Terrence Crawford Jr. also making some history around here.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So we've successfully now given this just a tad bit more time than the other headline, and that was my goal today for that. Shout out. Shout out, man.
Okay, see what you did there.
Yeah, man. Shout out. So appreciate it.
V's up.
Let us know in the second hour about how you feel about some of these things going down. Freshman Crawford. I heard that.
There you go.
What's up? Viking Nation. Marlon Harrison said, "Hey, that's what's up, man." I didn't go to school here, but my sister did go to North, and I lived down the street from North for years, and so I kind of have a feeling for North as well. And then, of course, all my favorite people from some of my favorite folks is just from North High.
Man, come on.
So shout out, man. That's what's up. Appreciate that. Yeah, starting with some good news on that tip, and definitely some feel good stuff happening. And really appreciate everybody that's joining us and staying for the second hour. We still have lots more to talk about, so we very much hope that you continue to come through. And continue to have these conversations with us. I think we're moving the needle just with the strategic communication part. So appreciate it.
Big time.
Yep.
Big time.
Michael Watts, who's excited to finally see a political campaign contest for OPS District 2?
Okay. I did see one of my speaking of Viking Nation, one of my fellow Vikings, Sister Dorothy Johnson, just announced that she's running for OPS school board. So is that who you're talking about?
I did just see something about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Dorothy, man. She's a Viking.
That's what's
fellow
up.
Viking.
Okay. We'll be talking. Like I said, we got a series. We're gonna be talking to a whole bunch of folks running for office this election season in a big way. But yeah, I love the fact that we are finally getting down to this balance that, political power is only one lane. There's a lot more stuff that we got to do besides that. Because that's naturally where I go. I go to some of these other areas, strategic communication, coalition building.
Man,
It's not my lane to
economic.
go in here and run for politics. Not my lane.
Nah, but we can talk about everything else, and we can talk about it in the strategic communication. But I am appreciating where you're going with this, and I want to continue with that as far as talking about the balance between, the economic power specifically and the political power. Actually, there's an article from Channel 3 talking about a bill that will consider kind of going along with the good news, and we'll definitely love to speak to the senators more about this when they come on. But the Nebraska bill is being considered to maximize SNAP benefits for eligible residents. Again, if you remember, during the last partial government shutdown, many SNAP recipients were kind of hanging in the balance, wondering what is going to happen to their benefits. The bill now directs DHHS to maximize federal funding for programs like SNAP, the federal government's food assistance program. Again, SNAP benefits were paused during the federal government shutdown last year, causing the food bank for the Heartland to step up, which again kind of weighed on the whole situation. Shout out to our partners over at Heart Ministry Center as well, and their food bank for the work that they did during that time. And Tim Williams, who was with the food bank, told Channel 3 that increase in demand during the shutdown meant each person received less food. He says the food bank supports this legislation. At the end of the day, we all want to make sure people just have their basic needs met. But of course, we know that the system of capitalism, especially when it's ran by billionaires, does not play out that way as far as everybody having their basic needs met. We've talked about, of course, all the program. I'll put it like this. There's money for a new wing on the White House. There's money to send billions for Israel to buy weapons. There's money to pay for bombs, to bomb quote unquote narco terrorists in the Caribbean. But there's not money for our healthcare. There's not money for housing. There's not money for education. There's not money for the things that we need. And I will say that there is a national security memorandum out criminalizing the opposition to capitalism. Again, if you remember that whole national security memorandum late last year, that basically said you can be deemed a domestic terrorist if you're against Christian values and capitalism. Why do that? Because of the nature of capitalism. And speaking about the nature of capitalism, it's kind of speaking against this whole haves and have-not system that we're fighting against. It is capitalism. Point in case, again, shout out to you, Paul, for sending this book to me, talking about the book Escape from Capitalism from Clara Matai, which talks about capitalism and the need for capitalism to have and rely on unemployment, and the need for capitalism to have a not having class, to have a class that is poor, to have a class that is constantly in this state of need, constantly in this state of oppression, constantly in this state that we all find ourselves in. And I have another book to kind of illustrate the fact that it is all of us in this situation. But before we get into that, Paul, again, this is a book that you brought to my attention. What say you on this?
I haven't read it yet, but some of the things that they were highlighting from it was this whole idea that there has to be a certain part of the population that's unemployed in order for this thing to work. And the reason behind it was pretty interesting to me. Like I say, I got to dig into the book, but the reason behind why there has to be 7 to 10 to 15% of people unemployed in order for the system to work is because if there's no shortage, then people start making demands. And we saw this during the COVID situation when people were going to go back to work. They were like, well, listen, I'm not going to go expose myself to COVID at a job that's not taking care of me or not appreciating me. I need to go to the doctor, but I don't have proper health care, so on and so forth. All these things that they were making demands, and they were trying to act like people didn't want to work. I don't know if you remember that.
The quiet quitting.
Right, the quiet quitting. All the stuff that was happening because they had leverage, because there was a lot of jobs out there, and the working class people had a little bit more leverage because there was more options to work from home, to start your own business, to do whatever you need to do. What they want is for you to be so desperate that you'll take any low-paying menial job, because low-paying menial jobs are a cornerstone of the capitalist structure in society. It was a psychological reason why it has to be 10 to 15% of unemployment, so that you can always feel a little bit like I better take whatever I can get right now, and I just thought, I was like, when I think of capitalism before, I'm thinking, this is all numbers. The haves have, the nots don't. You have to have free labor or cheap labor in order to make money. It was all numbers until I started to understand it's not just numbers. It's psychology on top of it, everything else. Like, it's like psychology that navigates these numbers, and so it's a trip. So I'm looking forward to digging into this book and finding out more about some of those kinds of things too. And also, one last thing that's hit me as you were speaking about it as well, how they're making it illegal to even speak out against capitalism almost. It reminds me of back in the day when people were on a whole nother political movement called communism, and how the country reacted to people and called them communists and made them illegal people against the state. Took money away, jobs away. I'm thinking about the movie industry, where everybody was put on a blacklist because they were associating with communists, and if all you had to do was call somebody a commie, and that person was in mad trouble. Yeah. And so it's not the first time that they made your buck against capitalism illegal.
But McCarthyism and the Red Scare, straight up.
So, yeah. Anthony Rogers Rice says there's also money to pay your girlfriend $2.5 million in favorable grants. Apparently, there's also money for you to take a disgraced movie person and have them make a film about your wife. And there's money everywhere for everything. We can even look at it in the state. It's really a trip. If you missed that interview that we had with Senator Michaela Cavanaugh, go back and check that out, because she started to run down a list of some of their solutions for making money back to this state. And the list all had to do with everything that had to do with, like, taking it. You said something earlier when you said there's money for this, but there's not money for housing. There's not money for blah, blah, blah. They claim there's not money for this stuff they're talking about. They got the nerve to actually be like, we don't have enough money for whatever they're trying to do and build. On top of that, we got to take these programs away so we can take more money from poor people to do the stuff that we don't got money for, all our stuff, let alone got money for our, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really a trip. It's really a trip. RG says, man, look, in the 1980s, if they called you a communist, you were the devil. Okay, man. Every movie, everything that was going on in the 80s with the Cold War, and they were associating communism with Russia. Our generation too, even after McCarthyism, in the Gen X generation, we came up with that communists are evil stuff. So, and communism is just another economic model, which is real crazy. There was a socialism scare when Bernie Sanders was doing his thing a few years back. You got called a socialist. You were demonized. Even now, so it's really a trip to think that because they're so dead set on. First of all, you never get taught what capitalism actually does. It's not something they really teach in school, that you got to have a working class, lower class, slave labor for any of this stuff to even work, and how everything trickles up. You don't get taught that in the first place. When you finally learn it on your own, and you are deciding you got to figure out a way to not participate in that mess. They really demon you illegal. It's really crazy.
I'm also thinking of those who even when you do participate in capitalism, when you do try to work the 9 to 5, and you do this, you can still be deemed, especially those who are homeless, illegal. And point in case, there's the other book that I wanted to point out, and shout out to Paul Philman actually for sharing this. The book is titled "There Is No Place for Us Working and Homeless in America." And actually, if we can we dive into this video? Shout out to Paul Philman again for sharing the video on Friends of First Sky. I wanted to share this video because it's actually something that hit close to home. This is a CBS Sunday morning report on my neighborhood that I actually currently live in here in Atlanta. Check this out.
This intersection here, Memorial Drive and Candler Road, it's like you're crossing a threshold from this beautiful neighborhood, liberal arts college on that side, cafes, and then you cross over And it's dialysis centers, it's liquor stores, it's payday lenders. Other areas of Atlanta are booming, but this area sort of stayed stuck in this period of decline.
Brian Goldstone has devoted his book, which he calls There Is No Place for Us, to describing the challenges faced by literally millions of the working poor looking for a place to live. We're in Atlanta.
The poor are out here on these peripheral areas.
Goldstone has spent the better part of 6 years trying to understand why so many people who work full-time jobs with low wages are homeless.
The story we as a nation have told ourselves that hard work is the key to success, that work is an exit from poverty, not having a home, being homeless.
It's not the case. It's not the case. We've been talking about homelessness here. Again, shout out to Paul Philman for sharing that video. Literally, that is my neighborhood. Some of those, my children go to school by some of those buildings that they say. Actually, I talked about on Friday, I took my kids skateboarding. I don't know if I had said that on air or if you and I talked about that. The skateboard park that we went to is in the the nicer neighborhood that they were driving through, which is like 15 minutes from my house. So to see that report on where I live is very interesting. And the fact that it's being used as a microcosm of what's happening nationally is a reality. As far as, again, we talked about here on the show, even in Omaha, the proliferation and the growth of these encampments and homelessness and houselessness. But that's houselessness and homelessness that we can see. Again, we're talking about this system of capitalism and the fact that it is not working for any of us. And we're not really aware of how bad it really is. We know the homelessness that we can see of the people sleeping on the streets, but what about the people sleeping in their cars? What about the people sleeping on friends' couches? Who are still working house to house, who are still working 2 and 3 jobs, who are still believing in and giving into this system of capitalism that is not working for anybody except for the elite who rule it, who run it, who write the rules for us to follow, because obviously they don't follow those rules themselves.
How about the people at Walmart that have actual jobs at Walmart that are still on assistance? Don't get paid enough from the multinational corporations to not be on assistance. I mean, who does it work for? And less and less. I mean, we already know it don't work for people, poor people, immigrant people. We already know it doesn't work there. It also doesn't work for poor white folks, people who live in rural communities. We're moving towards, a lot of it doesn't work for upper middle class people. There's a lot of people that are considered middle class, upper middle class, that are living in the mother-in-law house in the back of their parents' house still. All the way up to this 1%. Nothing's working. And yet it keeps on moving in that direction.
So, in this last couple of minutes of this conversation, I wanted to dive into, as I mentioned earlier, 2 models of, specifically black communities and what they're doing. One is something that's close to home in Omaha, talking about the Empowerment Network, and that is a model that has moved its way throughout the nation. Mm-hmm. Another model is something that's kind of on the other end of the spectrum, and we've seen that same energy from the likes of Brother Kasim and the BAA, but it's actually something that's hitting home, close to home here in Atlanta. For me, talking about Freedom Village, which is a 800+ acre village that 70 families have created themselves, i.e. building off the grid. So that is kind of the conversation I would like to have with you before we get on with our guests. Building within the system or without the system. Here are 2 examples: the Empowerment Network and this Freedom Village. What say you?
Yeah, interesting. So first of all, I think both are useful, needed. Building within the system, building without the system, on the outside of the system. I think we get caught up sometimes when we have decided for ourselves personally which side of the system we want to work, and lose sight that both sides are useful and probably needed to work hand in hand in order to make some kind of change happen as well. So I think that's really interesting that you picked that. more I learned about Empowerment Network here and the way that they're trying to work a little bit within the system is still real radical. When on that side of the fence there, there's still radical. There's still a real radical nature when I sit there and hear about them being very specific. Over here, we say a lot of like quote unquote black people. When I'm sitting in an Empowerment Network meeting, it's black people. It's the black community. We're doing this for black business. You can't get this money unless you're a black company. Like real kind of emphatic and not and focused in that direction. Whereas you might not think right off the bat that would be the case for entities that are working within the system or trying to work within the system and move the needle with in the system. But even in that situation, it's super radical. I think we lean more towards what they're doing at the BAA, Black Agenda Alliance. We lean more on creating our own, doing our own thing, which is also a big strategy. This kind of stuff appeals to me. I went down the rabbit hole one time on several communities of families of 70 to 100 families that are putting villages together, moving in the same direction, moving the same area, buying up a swath of land, or even just buying houses around each other in order to create some kind of community. And this has been going on forever. Black communities have shot up and come up. Before it was because we were redlined and had to be there. And then, but of course, our generation is kind of after, have moved on past this. There's invisible red lines now, where there were very visible red lines before. They're invisible red lines now, because they figured out that integrating and busing people and stuff like that also breaks up the situation. So they allowed us to move in different places, and people still have that mentality. If I got some money, I'm gonna move out of the hood. I'm gonna move somewhere else.
Right.
And so it spreads us out a little bit, but it's also this idea that people want to kind of come back and be around like-minded folks and create an economy based on some understanding, which is these kinds of places like this, Freedom Village. It's interesting to me, very interesting to me. That 77 families,
70 plus families from across the nation.
Plus families across the nation kind of came together to build something out, and I'm really anxious to dig into what some of those things is. So I really think that's something to dive into. Donnell Sessions is asking, what is the Empowerment Network doing about homelessness? Not sure. Got to dig in and find out exactly what I know that they are connected. The Empowerment Network, you sometimes think of as this one big organization, but it's actually a small organization that is connected, that is networked with a bunch of other small organizations. And within that network, I do believe there are entities that are working on homelessness, because that's what their nonprofit does, and they get support from like the Empowerment Network to do that. So I'd have to look and see which organizations are specifically working on homelessness that are within the network and getting help doing that. Tony Johnson, I ain't seen your name in a minute. Tony Johnson, Omaha, said black poverty rate in Omaha sitting around 30%. He said Omaha poverty at 13%. Sure, 15 years and millions of dollars have not put a dent or lessened poverty rate for black community. I would have to push back on that. I think there is a little bit of there's been some progress, some dents made for sure, with some of the economic development that's come in on a bunch of different levels. But yes, there absolutely could be more. There needs to be more. And again, Empowerment Network in working within the system there is one lane. It's really, it's some coalition building, some economic. I think they're in the lane probably of building some economic power, which is one of the lanes, along with political power, coalition building, strategic communication, boots to the roots work. Everything that we talk about all the time. I think it's one way, and I like this. I like that idea that you're bringing forth, buddy, about. Working within the system and then working outside of the system. You also need to be building your own and doing for yourself at the same time. I think that's just as important as well. So, I'm shout out to the BAA who, purchased land, who's doing these programs, and doing stuff with the kids directly on one level. They are in talks with people at the Empowerment Network as well. They're figuring out how those lanes can exist next to each other and be a stronger freeway to push through. So I think it's something to definitely consider. Tony Johnson said, for whatever reason, their strategy and influences is not productive. Black community in Omaha is about 55,000. Surrounding communities in Omaha have done way more with same population size and less. Yeah, I don't doubt that, but I do think that there is some good that's being done as well. Anthony Rogers Wright says, yeah, Paul, the dents are the certain black folks who can afford to move out west to Elkhorn. Tony Johnson makes a good point. We are consistently poverty pimped. I do believe that there's some of that going on, but again, I think it's a more. I don't think it's as cut and dry as organization is doing this to us or that organization is doing it to us. I think there's some good that's happening as well, for sure. But it really is. To me, it comes down to: are we going to get together ourselves and make the decision that we're going to be a part of a thing, or we're going to team up with some other folks that are like-minded in that direction and be a part of it. Sometimes it bucks up against our personal style, and that makes it so that it's hard to try to figure out how to work within the realms. But I like to start with the fact that all those lanes are needed, and we need to figure out how they can work together. So because it's there, and it's really everybody kind of has the same idea. They want to uplift the black community, especially. How do you do that? Everybody has different ideas and strategies. There's some corruption in a lot of different areas, top and bottom. But that just comes with the territory. We got to kind of work through and figure out how it all can work together and uplift and build, and see the evidence, especially when we see the evidence of that.
And this is why I frame these two things as models. I'm not, again, model is something that can be replicated. You can plug this in, change these aspects of the machine. It's a model, and as far as the Empowerment Network model, I brought that up because regardless of how you feel personally about Willie Barney, about what you have or haven't seen in Omaha, Nebraska, communities like Tulsa, like you wouldn't see the Empowerment Network replicating in other areas if there wasn't some kind of semblance of results, if there wasn't some kind of something to promote it. Again, the Empowerment Network has gone on in several other areas. And whether you like it or not, it is a model that is being replicated by other black communities around this nation. And let's look at it. Again, I'm framing it as building within the system, point in case, because of the Empowerment Network's role in this whole INSORG situation. Again, talking about all of the lanes kind of coming together. You have Willie Barney, who was from our conversations with the senators, from our conversations with Willie Barney, from all the conversations we've been having about how the INSORG situation happened. Willie Barney helped get ahead of the legislation. He petitioned and got involved with the kind of political lane, if you will. The senators passed the bill. They got the bill passed. The money is coming into the community. There's coalition with Vita Jeffries, and they're still helping businesses process through this situation. That is a model that could be replicated, could be learned from, and by all means, per our conversations with Willie Barney, that is something that they plan to do more and more often, is finding ways to get money from the state level to communities. Again, is that a model that can be built on? Or is it the other side of the spectrum that I'm laying out, as far as, again, building outside of the system per se, like this Freedom Village, where they completely got away from the municipalities. They, again, went all the way outside of the city limits of Atlanta to build this 800 plus acre village that they're building themselves. It is again, per the website, a private citizen owned village.
So does that? I want to look into it more, but does that is that they are still under the jurisdiction of the county, even though they're outside the city purview, right?
And to that, I'm glad you brought out that point, because this is something I'm thinking of as far as what you said, and it's not either or, it's and. It has to be both. As far as first finding whether it's our community or some lot outside of the our community being North Omaha, or some lot outside of the city limits of Omaha. Yes, you're still going to have to deal with county officials. Yes, you're still going to have to deal with state officials to some capacity. But again, these are two models. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? And let's have the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But there's a comment here that I was looking at. Michael Watts earlier said, "This is the conversation. This is the conversation." Oh, you know what? I'm starting to remember some things now. Okay, Michael Watts in the chat. This conversation has been going on since they arrived in Omaha. Yes, arrived. It is not an Omaha-grown effort. I disagree with that. They're solely working with Omaha. I can give you a list of at least 42 individual companies and organizations that are headed up by people who are born and raised in Omaha and trying to do something for Omaha that they are helping. Also says Empowerment Network. Michael Watts also says Empowerment Network and other nonprofits seem to play on the coincidence of things improving in Omaha as their direct influence and success. When things go bad, they have no connection to it. That's not what I'm observing from the situation. Not what I'm observing. Also, Anthony Rogers Wright is saying you cannot use the master's tool to dismantle the master's house. Prophet Audrey Lorde. Yes, heard this before. I think Malcolm X said some things about this as well. Very true. That's the situation is to dismantle the situation. And yeah, working within the situation, a little difficult to do that. We talk about this when we talk about capitalism. How do you dismantle capitalism while living in a capitalist society where you have to eat and pay bills? These are some great questions. I appreciate you guys coming up with this. I feel like these are the points at which we start to go deep into the conversation. So we'll leave it here for a moment because it is 9:31 right now, if you believe in the concept of time. And we have our special guest, Senator Terrell McKinney, in the chat. Looks like we're able to grab him real quick. Senator McKinney, right on.
What's up? How y'all doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Peace.
I'm doing good.
I'm always crossing my fingers that you guys' tech is going to work today. So, I see you here first. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I think Ashley might be coming over here. I'm not sure though, but I think she might be.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Her office ain't doing too good when it comes.
Yeah, with the tech.
Yeah. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm in Lincoln, so I'm here and had
Spirits up.
a decent weekend.
Yeah, if I was not mistaken, did you have any part? Was those your kids as far as the state championship? Are you coaching for Omaha North?
Yeah. I coached Bud's son in the
Man,
finals.
congrats.
Thank you. It was
Yeah,
great.
man. Terrence Crawford Jr. winning awards at a young age already. That's what's up. Yeah, so we gave him some shout out this morning. That's what's up. I'm anxious. I want to go to one of these tournaments sometime. See a young man get down, man.
Hey, man. North Wrestling's been a thing for a minute. Been a thing. Welcome.
You ain't saying it right. It's wrestling, bro. It's wrestling.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wrestling. Speaking of wrestling, of course, we know you have your fair share of bouts in the legislature. So let's go ahead and dive into it as far as bills and just what's going on, man. What's the update? What's on your purview right now?
So I selected my priority bill, which is LB 962. It's a youth and juvenile reentry bill to try to help them have some more supports when they transition out of the system and group homes and things like that. I prioritize it primarily because I want to try to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to what's going on with our juveniles to make sure that they're getting the services and the help they needed. Because over the interim, I went to DCYC a couple of times with Senator Spivey, maybe a few times, and we talked to the youth and we talked to the people that work in DCYC, and they just said a lot of the issue with them coming back and forth is there's not a lot of good transition and planning for youth when they leave in the system or transition out of DCYC. So that's why we're seeing them going back a lot. And even talking to the kids, they was just like, I need help with a job. I want to get a job when I get out of here, and school and things like that. So that's why I prioritized it.
Man, appreciate that. And man, that's interesting that they're asking for jobs and things kind of coinciding right with what we're talking about as far as the system and, the lack of resources, the lack of jobs. Shout out to Sean McCarthy, who's been very vocal about his job search, 100+ job applications. And again, it's not just working with recidivism. You've also pushed bills for like family support situations and things like that. Just the general sense of what these youth are having to deal with. Can you kind of speak to that economically right now?
I mean, economically, it's rough out here, man. Like, a lot of these kids are, coming from not the best situations financially, and ending up in bad situations because of that. And having to try to work or try to, take care of themselves leads some of them down like the wrong path every once in a while, and it's causing them to end up in the streets or end up in the system. A lot of kids are in the system already and being failed by our systems. A lot of them, and that's a part of the problem. And they feel alone and not thought about. And you hear it when you talk to them. They be like,
Right.
nobody care about me. I mean, it's just me. And these kids, 14 and 15 years old, saying, I'm just out here by myself. And
And
we
that's a real
supposed to
feeling.
have yeah, we supposed to have a community that care about the kids. And if they don't feel it, then we wondering why they burning it down.
Man, what's the saying? That don't feel the warmth of the village or burn it down to feel the warmth.
Yep.
Man, you what's striking me right now is something that I don't hear a lot of people saying, which is you talk to them and this is what they said to you,
Man,
which is huge. And you're hearing this straight from the baby's mouth as far as how they feeling and what they really looking for. A lot of people might be surprised to hear that these babies want jobs. They want some kind of prospect. They want to come out. They think people just out here wilding out. But when you said if they're in a position to have to take care of themselves, how of course they're gonna get in some trouble when you young and you got to try to figure it out and you're getting it from all sides and you're trying to figure out how to take care of yourself and you haven't had the proper training for that. Why wouldn't you get yourself into some trouble? We all have. So
Right.
I really appreciate that about the way your approach, you and Senator Spivey, actually going and talking to the kids and visiting the kids and finding out what's on their minds on it.
yeah,
That's
and
insightful.
yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about when I was a 14, 15, 16 year old in North Omaha, growing up in a single mother household, and she having to work 8 hours a day, gone 9, 10 hours a day because she worked way out west. So that's a drive. So that means I'm alone at home 9, 10 hours a day outside of school.
Hmm.
So again, yeah, no wonder, especially these young folks are again. We talked about it. What is there for them to do? So again, I appreciate you trying to push the legislation that you have because it's common sense legislation. Are there any other bills outside of your priority bill that we should be looking out for? I think I did have an article from Channel
Um,
3 talking about a SNAP benefit bill. But are there any other things that could possibly help working class families?
that can help families. I'm trying to think of what else has been prioritized. Uh, my bad.
No, you good.
Yeah, there are some hunger-free meals bills. There's some other. Senator Roundtree has some housing bills that he's prioritized. Senator Spivey has a bill to help with the middle income workforce housing program. Uh, Dang, it's slipping my mind, but
Okay.
those are some that are at the top of my mind. But there's also a bill Senator DeBoer is working on, LB 304, to try to help with our child care system, and hopefully that get passed as well. So there's a
Yeah,
mix of things.
Man.
we've been hearing
Um,
about that one.
Hey,
Yeah, there's a few bills out there, so I appreciate that. And no need to apologize. We know it's 200 plus bills, so yeah, not expecting you to just rattle them off like that. But I am kind of curious, and I do want to ask you specifically because you specifically have stated in the past that not to rely solely on elected officials, not to rely solely on. Speaking of elected officials, is that
Yeah,
is
they're
that a
trying to
second
get it.
guess?
They're trying to get it
Okay.
together. Just give them a second.
Yeah, yeah. I give it a second before I finish my question. Good
What's
morning,
happening,
peace.
senators?
There you go.
Hello, hello.
second, 1 second. Trying to get the camera right.
Okay, all right. While you
Slide
doing
through
that,
the
I'm gonna
feedback.
read some. I'm gonna read from the yeah. Rhea Vincent in the chat. Good morning. Says, "True, I emancipated myself here in Nebraska at the age of 14, all on my own because I was
Mm,
homeless, working and going to school, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't sign a lease. And yes, homeless shelter was consistently full.
Yes, yes.
Man, the testimony there, heavy, heavy. What did you do, Rhea Vincent, to take care of yourself? What were some of the things that you ended up having to get to when you got that mindset? Now I gotta handle my own business. Let us know. Tisa Harden in the chat says, "Good morning, beautiful people. Appreciate you." Also, earlier in the chat, I know that Marlon Harrison says, was saying, "Good morning, Senator Terrell McKinney. I'm surprised you're not tired from state wrestling. Everybody on the wrestling tip. I appreciate that." Senator
Definitely.
Spivey, good morning. Thanks for coming over to the office today. I know it was a long walk over there, so I appreciate you.
It's such a long walk. It took me like 4 minutes from my office.
Well, thank you,
I
thank
didn't
you.
realize you guys were that separated. I thought you was right next door doing stuff.
And then he upgraded because see, he's a chair of a committee. I'm not a chair. So I got my little office on the other side, and he got his big office on this side.
Oh,
Yeah, I hear the echo. A lot of room.
that's why he needs some artwork in there. And you got the broom closet on the other side. So we appreciate you taking the time to come on through. And no, I'm just kidding. But I appreciate you walking over and I was really worried about how the tech was going to work today. So here we are.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's working because it's sad when the tech doesn't work. It always feels like I'm failing everyone. So this seems a little bit better.
Hey,
We
you
just want
didn't
to hear from you.
you didn't wire the rotunda. It ain't on you.
Right. That part, that part. So yes, thanks for joining the conversation. We appreciate any time that y'all can do this out of your busy schedule. So yeah. Again, thank you for joining. And I did want to, I guess, extend the question to you as well. When you were coming in, I was asking Senator McKinney realistically about the conversation that we're having here on the show today about as a black community building within or without the system. And as senators, of course, y'all are in charge of pushing the bills and on the front lines as far as the bills and some of the bills that are being pushed, SNAP bills and things like that. But I am curious, like as far as what else in your purview can be done, or I guess how can I frame the question? The wills of democracy. Do you think that's enough to achieve what ultimately we are trying to achieve as a people?
I would say no. I think it's on us as well, to try to do what we can to uplift ourselves. We can't depend on a system or systems that were not built for us or thought of, and we weren't thought about, and they more so were built to hold us back. So I think we gotta, yes, as senators, we're working in a system trying to do some good things, but I think as a people overall, we gotta try to uplift ourselves outside these systems too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would agree with that. I feel like that is a question posed by abolitionists, right? Like, how do you dismantle a system? How do you radically reimagine it in a way that isn't causing the same harm or built with the same ethos? And I think you have to do both at the same time. Um, and it's tough because we see the system, like I feel like we talk about that a lot, like just how frustrated we are, or just I'll send a text like, can you believe it, like, and it's just we are in the system, so we feel it and we know that it doesn't serve us, and yet here we are still trying to meet people where they are. So
Mhm.
it's a hard paradigm and place to be in when you're here.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean, essentially, that's to be candid, that's the reason why we do this. You know what I mean? And appreciate y'all taking the time to do this to understand how we, the working class people, can, we're always going to talk about on this platform what we can do for ourselves. But how does this work in tandem is trying to reach a real understanding of how this works in tandem and how can we move forward. I think we're all, trying to go in the same direction. So I just appreciate. I just want to ask you that because I know you were answering honestly, and I appreciate the honest answer. Because some politicians they'll push it like, hey, we can solve this and you hope and but the reality is we're gonna need some other things.
Well, it's so long term. You think about government and how fast government moves. Like it's not
Exactly.
a revolutionary or radical change. And I think, I mean, and we've talked about this on the show before. It's why we have a C4 now. Like I stood up a C4 based on my experience and what I saw of like, oh, this is how this works. And Black people are not positioned to understand that. Working people are not positioned. So this tool is one that we can take back and use versus it weaponized against us, or how ballot initiatives work. Like there's all of these things that I think were intentionally designed for us not to participate. And we're in a capitalist society. Like, if we're not going to talk about capitalism and how that governs the world in which we live in, then we're also not doing ourselves justice, to say, like, here's what we need to do on a day to day. So, like, I mean, there's so many facets of this that we have to talk about. I just was talking to somebody about that. We're talking about the Target boycott. And I don't know if y'all still boycotting, but like, I'm gonna go to Target for certain things. Like I went and picked up some medicine. There's this black designer named KBB. You probably don't know her line, but I bought like a little shirt because, like, again, like, I want to support her. And so I was arguing with this person. They were like, I can't believe you did that. I'm like, listen, if this is the case and if this is the barometer of how we boycott, one, how are we replacing the ecosystem with what I need? People need to shop every day, right? And how do we do it in a way that is not capitalistic? You can't do it at this point. So we're gonna have to move to a remote world and all farmer owned and like start the zombie apocalypse to reimagine, because we can't, like, unless we address capitalism holistically, you can't isolate just a Target or just a this. I get why people do it, and the conversation needs to be broader. So
That's really interesting. Yeah, you kind of summing up a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about pretty much this whole show,
Yep.
and the whole season, kind of the follow the money idea here on that part. Um, we also, what I got you got me thinking too is a lot of the things that you guys are discussing there within the legislature have to do with how money gets spent, or really the bills are where the money goes, how the money gets funneled, and the debate is always what is the most important thing, or why is this thing important to funnel money to or take money away from. We had Senator Michaela Cavanaugh on last week, and she talked a lot about what some of the solutions that Pillin has been putting out there for taking care of what's going on here with the state's budget and the big deficit. And it all seemed like stuff that had to do with taking programs away from poor and working class people, and that nobody can come up with any idea on how to save money or grow more money for this issue that didn't include those things. So is that kind of what I picture? That's what is going on at the legislature all the time. Is that a lot of the fight? Is that a lot of the discussion, the way that you guys have to go on defense, and then put bills out there in the offense in order to circumvent some of that? Is that kind of what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the fight where they're trying to cut programs, move cash funds. They're raising a bunch of fees this year and did last year as well, or they're attempting to in a lot of bills. Then they're also trying to get a corporate tax incentive bill passed, which I don't agree with, because how are you going to raise these cash funds that, deal with the most vulnerable, but then give these corporations tax breaks because they're promising some imaginary jobs that may or may not come. So it's a troubling place here, and they're going to suspend 5 year olds again. So it's
well, and I think that irritates me. So, because I'm on appropriations with Senator Kavanaugh, and last week, yes, because this is Monday. Last week there was in the governor's budget $7 million of general funds to go to basically vouchers again, right? This conversation about vouchers. And so we had the hearing on it. And in the hearing, the president of NSCA, which is a teachers union, was testifying. And so one of my colleagues was asking a question and said he came to visit North Omaha in 1977 and basically met this black person to talk about how terrible the schools were and all of this, and how sad he was around, not having the same opportunities some of his other friends that went other places and all of this. And I usually kind of keep my cool because I've had this conversation with this colleague before. And so I made a statement on the record is like, one, you haven't visited a place in 50 years. And so that's the story and narrative that you want to say. And then you co-opt North Omaha to be mutually exclusive to Black people without saying Black, to prove your point because you want vouchers. But in that same breath, last week, you voted to not put my or Senator McKinney's amendment on to this suspension bill that asks for data and clarity around definitions and more accountability with the schools. Like, make it make sense. Like, I don't, like, that doesn't work for me. And so, like, and that's what I said on the record. Like, you can't have one conversation over here where you use our community to prove a point when you actively push policy that causes harm. And so I think that that is kind of the conundrum for me, is like, you gonna have a conversation or you're not. But like, you're not going to do that. Like, you're not going to co-opt and say these things, and they're, one, factually not true, and also, like, be a part of the solution. When we bring bills and things, they fight it tooth and nail, you know. And it also, it pisses me off because when Senator McKinney gets on the mic, they're like, oh, McKinney's just so passionate. And it's like, no, like, he's telling you a fact. He's being an expert. This is the district he represents. So don't diminish it to passion. Like,
Hmm.
default into being a leader and an elected official guiding, positive, impactful policy. So like, that also, like, I get a little bit turned up about that. And so, but those are the conversations that we're having with our colleagues, because 1+1 is not making two. It's like 10 to them. And I
Man,
don't know. There.
actually, speaking of the math, not mathing, I did want to dive into this. I kind of asked you about it last, Senator Cypher, but the connection was wonky, and since then developments have happened. Mike Foley, and these audits going on. Of course, there's a $2.5 million no contest contract that went out. Since then, it's been reported a 1.2 billion in lost revenue for the state's tax incentive programs. What are your thoughts on that situation, and how it impacts the whole deficit, and the mad dash to help with property tax relief?
I mean, as far as the deficit, I think it'll be interesting to see where these tax and Senate bills go now that that audit report has can't come out. I think it shed light on an issue that, we've given these corporations billions of dollars to bring jobs, attract people, and to, pay people livable wages. But when you look at the numbers, it hasn't been a net benefit. We're in a budget deficit. We're scraping pennies, and then the governor's administration is doing what they want to based on just personal relationships and things like that, which is negatively impacting our state. And for them to say, oh, we don't have money for this or that, but then you're able to find some money for somebody that you're close with is very interesting. And then I mean, I think the auditor is doing his job is interesting. I think it's showing where people really stand on that side, whether they're for or against it. Are they really, fiscally conservative, or are they just talking out the side of their mouth? So it's interesting.
Man, Senator Spivey, what does the appropriations committee have to say about all this?
Yeah, we actually had the AG's office last week for their hearing, and we asked about just the process around these no bid contracts, and what that office is doing, because that's one of the only agencies or offices that continues to grow. So that their budget is getting bigger, and the framing of the conversation was around not just the no bid contracts, but how that office is taking up cases and litigation, like against medical marijuana, right? So taking up a case against the constituents that they are here to represent, or that they were in a national lawsuit against that would have basically kind of terminated 504 plans, which impacts kids with different abilities. So, like, again, like, how are you using your office and taxpayer dollars? And what the AG said is that with those findings, they have a process that they use to vet if they're going to pursue anything. And then it goes to, like, law enforcement and local first to review. So, like, State Patrol, and then usually Lancaster for where we are. And with the no bid contracts, it's navigating through that process. So, kind of a non-answer. They walked us through, because we asked again, like, why haven't you taken this up? And so maybe the AG will or not. It's an election year. He is a Republican. Um, he works at, the leisure of the governor too, so, like, it just, I don't know. But I can appreciate that, to Senator McKinney's point around Auditor Foley, like anyone can get it. Like anyone is getting audited. I'm gonna have this report. I'm gonna put it out. Like anyone can get it, and it's really clear. And I can appreciate the consistency in that, right? Like definitely doing his job. And so I think now it goes back to us as state senators. What are we gonna do, and how do we move around that? And again, people have party alliances or other, I think, competing priorities that doesn't have them to align to the values that they say because of who it is that is doing that action.
And I'll, just to kind of echo the reality of what you're saying to the listeners. The no bid contract in itself. Again, they no bid contract. They just elected to just across the board just pay whoever they chose. Again, who they chose, not who the process chose, but who they chose. Got 2.5 million. But beyond that, the 1.2 billion dollars in lost revenue from the report from Auditor Foley was really catching my attention to the fact that, again, these businesses that are getting tax incentives don't have either no employees at all, or at least no employees in the state of Nebraska. That's per the Flatwater Free Press report. So again, to me, it's looking like we're getting robbed. I'm gonna just say it. It looks like we're getting robbed. The taxpayers are getting robbed. Like, where are these tax dollars going?
I think that's the difference too between incentives versus credits. Incentives you get up front, credits you have to show and demonstrate. And I think for me, coming into appropriations, the tax packages happen in revenue. There's not a lot of, at least from my experience, that overlap with like appropriations. It says and is looking at the budget holistically, or these other committees where bills that have fiscal impact, and like fiscal impact being like long term, not just what's on this fiscal note saying. And I think that's a part of the problem too. Like we are not working comprehensively to say, here's how all of these things work together and how we plan for the state now and in the future. It always feels like everything just feels like a surprise, or like we'll do it now, and then we'll leave it to them to figure it out in 2 years. And it's like, yo, like I mean, we there's a lot of money during the pandemic, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
money, and it just, how was the body good stewards of that to invest in things that have return on investment, that grow the economy, that allow for Nebraskans to feel relief, whether it's property tax that's targeted and makes sense, or investing in key social safety nets. Like, I don't, it doesn't feel like any of that happened strategically, and now here we are in a really terrible place, it seems like. And as we keep projecting, it's going to get worse.
Yeah. We got about 3 minutes left in the show. I wanted to jump to something real quick, a couple of definitions for me, just for the people as well to really kind of understand, so that we can go back, listen to what you guys have said with some of this stuff that we're talking about here. I had a question to Senator Spivey. It's about appropriation. Maybe you can tell me, Senator. Oh, she's still here. Okay, cool. Appropriations. That you're in. You've said a couple of times that you're in appropriations. Could you tell me what that is, and define what you guys are supposed to be doing there? Sorry. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so I see. So appropriations is the name of my committee, and we appropriate or approve three branches of government's budget: the legislatures, the courts, which is judiciary, and then the executive branch, which is the governors and all of the agency that the governor has purview over. So that is Secretary of State, that is Health and Human Services, that's Department of Economic Development, all of the agencies. My committee appropriates that budget, but the full body votes on it. So we put out, which is a preliminary budget, which is out right now. And then we just finished our hearing. So we're going back and making decisions. And then we'll put forward what we're saying. Here's the budget, and here's how we get to the zero balance, because that's what we have to do by our Constitution. And then the full body of the legislature will debate it, do all the things around that.
Okay, I appreciate it. One more. You said earlier that you started a C4 because we need to figure out how we can do things even outside of inside the system. And I know a lot of people know what a 501c3 is, nonprofit organization, certain things you can and can't do. Could you explain the C4 real quick before we get to final words?
Yeah, so a C3 is just a tax exempt status for an agency, and you have lobby limits where you can, based on your budget, only do so much advocating for policy. A C4 is still a type of entity under the IRS, but you don't have the same lobby limits. So it allows you more leeway when you think about how you're advocating. And then another tool that is an important piece of that is where you can have a PAC, a political action committee, where that's where you can give to candidates, you can endorse candidates and things a little bit differently. And then you have ballot initiatives, which is another kind of political tool where you give an issue to the voters to decide. So medical marijuana, reproductive rights, the death penalty, right? That's where it's put on the ballot. And so there's a number of political tools that are at people's disposal that I think we as North Omaha, as Black folks specifically, don't understand the process because it has some of the same kind of nuance that we see in some of the systems that we don't like how money is moved or who decides what gets there. All of that is in them same systems. But if we can take those back, we can use them in a way to advance our goals and mission of a community versus it being weaponized against us.
Yeah.
Okay, appreciate
Speaking of that, actually, you asked a question. You alluded to a question that's in the chat talking about the PACs, political action committees. Michael Watts is asking about the new Black PAC and if it's a cost to participate, if you know.
Oh, come. There's a fundraiser tomorrow too, and like a meet and greet. It's at NOMA, 4 to 7. Pop up. Learn about what we're doing. We have a big registration push, 5,000 Black folks in Nebraska. So come and learn. Visit our website, Black in Action Collective.
There you go.
Black in action. Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, let's get to some final words. Senator McKinney, you got some final words for us to send us on our way here on what we can do next?
Come on, coach.
Yeah, I mean,
Who we
my
got to
final,
wrestle? Who we wrestling next?
we're in the last week of Black History Month. Continue to learn about the history of our people. Continue to educate those around you, especially the kids, about Black history and what it means to be Black in America and how we got here and where we're at today. I think that's very important. And just enjoy yourselves, enjoy your families. We're wrapping up hearings over the next couple weeks, so things have started getting a little more crunched and tense down here around the budget and people trying to get their bills passed. So, it'll be interesting. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate your priority bill of youth and jobs and trying to get youth going and giving them something. I really appreciate how you guys gone down and spoke to the youth and heard from the youth about their situation from them, which is something that's always missing from the conversation. Senator Spivey, any final words?
Nope, I just plus one what my brother said.
That's what's up.
He rocking, I'm rolling.
Hey, there you go.
Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate you guys coming and taking the time. I can't wait to talk to you in a couple weeks to hear about how wild things have been. Since it's gonna be good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace. All right. Always
there
a
you
pleasure.
go.
Senator Cypher going off once again, and we got through it with both of them. Both of them being on this time without the tech messing up too bad. Right.
I think we might have figured it out.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe. What's going on here? We flipping the cards.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. hey, what's going on? I wanted to before we get off the show, just wanted to give Rhea Vincent a little minute here.
Man,
asked earlier. She's told us about her situation and I asked earlier, what did you do to take care of yourself? She says, I worked at Village Inn as a waitress. I found a landlord that would rent to me on 24th and Jones. Horrible idea at the time. I continued into college, advocated for other youth in my community, graduated into healthcare at an early age, and now I'm a business owner in the community and continue to share resources, encourage education, and contribute to my community. I made a choice and stayed focused despite the lack of support and tons of obstacles.
Man, beautiful
Really
story. Thank you.
Yeah. We'd love to have you on and talk a little bit more about your situation too, because it's always good to hear from somebody who was in a situation like that. If you missed her comment earlier, she was emancipated herself at 14, growing up in certain conditions and pushed through. And this is some of the ways that she did push through to get there. So that's really what's striking me here at the end of the show is just hearing from the senators about the conversations they having with these kids that are saying, "Man, ain't nobody caring about us." Like Kendrick said, "My grandma dead. Ain't nobody playing for me. Ain't nobody praying for me." They ain't nobody caring about what we do and what's happening and helping us get somewhere and doing something. We not to get back onto this empowerment network conversation, but I've witnessed 600 kids in the room getting some help, being told they can do it, being told that there's people that care about them, hooking them up with actual jobs, putting actual money in your pocket. You can't. Anybody who chimes up to me, the first question I ask: have you put anybody on?
Man,
have you put anybody on? Have you helped anybody make any money and take care of their lives? Have you helped anybody help take care of their family?
how we gonna eat?
You ain't a boss unless you putting somebody on. So I don't want to hear it. We can talk all we want to about problems, because every organization, every human being got issues and problems, and ain't doing things 100%. Sure, we can concentrate on some of those things. What are we doing that is working? What are we doing that is helping? And any organization, any individuals that's putting money in anybody's pocket, it can go one or two ways. They can be trickling it down to you and messing with you. This is true. We got to watch some of this stuff, but at the same time, it is also up to if you gonna step up or not, which is part of the thing. So I'll leave it with that as far as my last words are concerned, and the fact that the Step Up program is here. They're going to be serving 800 to 1,000 kids to get to not just get paid, but explore what they'd like to do as a career. They need more than this. They need people to care about them more than this, but they need this too. This is part of the care. So parents, it takes a village. Parents, families. If they're in the church, then they're clergy. If they're at school, they're counselors. They need several individuals in their life to help them go off into the direction they need to go off, and especially if they're coming from a situation where there's some poverty and there's some problems in the house. Everybody needs some help with that. Shout out to Empowerment Network, Step Up program, and and also Skill Up. It ain't just about the kids. The Skill Up program is for the adults. That's also part of Empowerment Network. You want to skill up, you want to learn, you want to move trades, figure out something to make more money for yourself. You can get involved with some of those things. So this high level back end, always talking about what it is and isn't happening. It's tired, man. It's tired. Let's utilize it. Let's utilize every organization, including our government, including our state. We can't be out here like, I'm not going to work with this black organization, but you going to put up with what the DED just did to your money? I'm not having that. I'm not having that. Every organization, everybody out here got problems. We got to try to figure out what we're going to do with it. And that's really just all there is to it. Keep, checks and balances. Definitely call people out if they're doing something, if there's a grift going on, of course. But also, and also this other part,
follow the money.
Lisa Harden in the chat, I appreciate you. Says, I used to be a Step Up teacher. It's a wonderful program for our youth community. Take advantage of it. If you have any teens working age, no experience necessary. Come on,
man. Yeah, one of our content creators camps teachers is also a Step Up instructor as well. So yeah, man. I mean, we seen it firsthand. We're all for it.
RG said he thinks Pillin was trying to tap into the conversation. He heard some clicks happening. Somebody was on the phone tap. Sweet meat.
Phone tap. What you gonna do?
Donnell Sessions says it's Skill Up only for formerly incarcerated. I don't think so. Maybe we'll check. I'm just learning about Skill Up as of the last couple of weeks, so we'll check.
Good question.
Appreciate you guys and appreciate you hanging past the agreed upon time to shut it down. Buddy, you got some words for the people?
Yeah. As we get out of here, two kind of thoughts are lingering with me. One is I appreciate what Senator McKinney and you kind of pointed that out as far as the young folk and what the young folk are really dealing with, and I'm constantly reminded of friends that I had conversations with, friends that, you know, after school, I'm realizing they don't have anywhere else to go. So I'm sleeping, you know, in my car with them, or I'm, you know, chilling at a friend's house and we're all spending the night because a friend has nowhere else to go. And
Right.
how many instances like that I've experienced, man. So again, and this is at 14, 15, 16 that I'm talking about, like
Mhm.
having conversations with my peers, not in that, just that heart wrenching feeling of not knowing how to help them. So with that, we are working on how to help each other, man. There's a community resources page you can check out, firstguyomaha.com / community resources. You can also check it out at the bottom. There's a menu at the bottom. Click on community resources. It'll take you there. And if anybody has any other resources that we can add to that page, feel free to email us at firstguyomaha.com with that information, and we'll try to add to it. Again, this is a living site. We're trying to grow it, keep it moving. So again, big shout out to those who have volunteered and showed interest in helping us with that. Again, we all we got, but it's enough. Each one, reach one, teach one, and we're gonna get through it, man. So again, appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. Also, my before I get out of here, my second thought to that point it is, you know, the conversation that we're having today, whether we build inside the system or outside the system. I think you and I both agree that it has to be both. First and foremost, we have to do for ourselves. First and foremost, we have to build up our communities. We have to reinvest, circulate our dollars within our community, support our small businesses, all of that. But we also, you know, have to get people, elected officials, in position to help us protect those things, to help us have the legislation to make all that make sense. So again, we're going to continue, you know, putting it together, figuring it out together. That's what First Guy is. And we appreciate you for joining us in this endeavor, man. So again, catch the same time, same place, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on First Guy Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All right, there you go. There you go.
Appreciate everybody that joined us today, and thanks for staying late and rocking with us on this different time. We did 8 to 10 this morning, which we do every other week in order to accommodate the senators being able to come on at the time they do. We're normally 7 to 9, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we do that most of the time except for every other Monday. So shout out for you guys keeping up with us on that. We'll definitely continue to put some information out. We have a Facebook page, our main First Guy Omaha Facebook page. We also have First Guy Omaha News, the Facebook page, and we also have a group page called Friends of First Guy Omaha that a lot of people, the conversation actually happens and continues when we're not live. So we really appreciate that very much. RG says, got to operate within the current system before we can navigate another.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I think it all has to happen at the same time. We got to build with actually working in the system as well. So appreciate you guys opening up your comments and your thoughts and your feelings and your minds to some of these concepts. We're all learning together. This is absolutely not a show where we're sitting here telling you how it's supposed to be. We're learning with you. We gain a lot of insights from the chat chimers. We have the best chat in the world because it's not a bunch of trolls trolling. It's a bunch of people who really care, who are trying to add some comments, some information, and some insights on some things so we can all come to a consensus.
There you go.
Right. I think I said it right.
Yeah.
This is actually a format that I'm enjoying more and more because it is something that can't really be replicated live so much. A lot of times we get live, we get face to face, and we start talking, and people get, you know, in face, that kind of communication sometimes gets defensive. We start to really kind of think about what it is that we want to, the point we want to get across. There's so many other nuances in communications that happen sometimes. Sometimes it's a good idea to kind of sit down and limit some of those so that we can really kind of get to what people's thoughts are. And so I'm finding out that we're really making some headway here with having a conversation in the style that we're having it, because we can hear each other a little bit better when we have some limits on how we talk, what we can say, what we can do. And you know, there's times when I notice that I'm like sitting here intently listening to what a person's saying because I know I'm going to comment on it next, which is different than face to face. Sometimes I'm sitting there kind of fighting, thinking my own thought and trying to get my own point across. We're figuring out some kind of balance in the way that we're doing it here with this show, and we just really appreciate everybody who is participating in that. Chat chimers, you were a part of that,
Man.
all the way. So thank you. Spread the word, share the show. Let's many people in the conversation as we can to have a even more full and broad conversation, and people that are associated with some of these things that we're talking about. If you know people that are working in those industries or people that are part of making those laws or anybody, invite them to the show so we can get the it from the horse's mouth. Sometimes we need to hear it. So invite them to the show. And if you have anybody you think should be guests, hit us up at firstsky@gmail.com. Send us the email. Let us know who that is, and we'll try to get them on and talk to them, including your senators. Senator Cypher is supposed to be every week. Senator Terrell McKinney, Senator Ashley Spivey is every other week, so we can have one of your senators on every other week. So hit us up. Let us know which senator you want to talk to next Monday. We'd love to hear from you on that. And with that, I'll go ahead and let you go. Thanks for staying late. Nope. Okay, good. No checking anybody asking for third hour. Nope.
No,
None of
that.
Get out of here before they do. Shout out to the Umaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Shout out to our elders allowing us to speak before you. And shout out to you, the chat chimers, allowing us to speak with you. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. This might be something for Wednesday, but Kasim got a community engagement award last night at Fabric Lab. It is something that I didn't get to. I did see that, but I appreciate you bringing that back. Yes, we will talk about that this coming up Wednesday as well. Thank you for reminding me on that. As a matter of fact, I totally pulled it. You know what? Since you said it and we're already late, I'm going to go ahead and give him a shout out. Shout out, Brother Kasim. Shout out Tall Twin. Shout out Tall Twin at the Fabric Lab. They got the first annual Black History Community Engagement Award. Shout out Captain Q. He said, tonight I'm honored to have received the first annual Black History Community Engagement Award. Anyone who knows me knows that I do not do what I do for awards and accolades, nor applause or any sort of matter of fact. There is not a soul on the earth that can ever say that they've ever heard me refer to myself as a community leader of any sort. That's ironic because he's one of the premier community leaders we got. He says, but I am always honored beyond honored, and feel so highly favored when community I'm from speaks kindly of me and the work probably that he says he does. So I appreciate him also acknowledging that. Shout out Tall Twin. Shout out Fabric Lab. Shout out everybody who is putting awards out. I noticed this last year. We got a lot of community. We give flowers around here in Omaha, bro. More than I've seen in other places I live, for real. So there you go. Shout out to all the organizations that are recognizing the work that people are doing, the boots to the ground work, the work with the kids. As far as I'm concerned, brother Kasim and the BAA deserves all the accolades. They're doing the real work in a real way. But so are our senators out there in the legislature doing it too, big time.
Seven lanes.
Appreciate you, RG. We're going to get out of here. We'll see you guys. Take care of yourselves. We have special guests coming on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, between time, stay warm. Still only 7 degrees outside. Bundle up. We'll see you Wednesday. Peace.
By the way, Vanguard.